after Beyonce said, "Baby boy, no, 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 no." Somebody just got censored. Let's talk about it. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Faceless here. I hope everybody is doing okay. Please check the timeline if you want to jump to anything that you want to see. You can actually just jump between the timelines. So today we're going to talk about Piers Morgan. You know, that dude that has way too much power, but didn't realize that some people are way too powerful than he is. So for people who do not know what I'm talking about, listen to this.
The shocking allegations levelled at Sean Diddy Combs have burst the floodgates on salacious claims about an industry many people believe harboured a monster. Understandably, the internet's ablaze with claims about these events and whether other powerful figures were involved too. Well, last week I interviewed Jaguar, a singer-songwriter who's made claims about Diddy for years. Those claims had already received a lot of attention in the media across many platforms for many years. And that's the thing about platforms. The reality of the modern world is that pretty much everyone has a platform as long as they have something to say that other people want to hear. That's why we invited her on to be interviewed. The people making these claims have an audience with or without shows like mine. Well, Jaguar unexpectedly made several serious allegations about Jay-Z and Beyonce during that interview. As I said in the moment, they were not present to respond or defend themselves, but now they have. Their lawyers contacted us to say that those claims were totally false and have no basis in fact, and we've therefore complied with the legal request to cut them from the original interview. Editing interviews is not something we do lightly at a show called Uncensored. But, like the proverbial cries of fire in a crowded theatre, there are legal limits on us too. And we apologise to Jay-Z and Beyonce.
He apologized. So yes, so last week, that video was actually kind of crazy. So you had Jaguar came in. She has never changed her statements. She first went from Diddy for decades and decades and decades. She has been going before the video came out, before he got sued by Cassie. I did a video on even the Diddy thing. You can go and check it out. I'll leave the information somewhere here. She has spoken every time. She stated that most people who have disappeared, allegedly, he has something to do with it. She said that over and over again. She doesn't stop saying that. She doesn't want to stop saying that. But obviously, she has never been sued to say that.
You've been called a whistleblower. You knew Sean Diddy Combs for a long time. You attended a number of his infamous parties. And in 2022, you made headlines after comments where you called him a sex trafficker. And in response, you were called crazy and jealous. Do you feel vindicated by the events of the last few weeks?
No, not at all. Because he's just the beginning. Until him and his cohorts are all held to account publicly and legally, the victims, they're not safe.
How bad was it?
That's what I care about. I care about the victim.
She was the first guest to speak. After that, we had Vlad, who said this. And I gotta say something. It's not that is wrong or is right, but I mean, when you're invited to a show like this, you come and you speak your truth, your opinion and stuff, or you share facts. One of those two. But just coming and not even having somebody who is on the platform anymore, this person has left the platform, and you coming and you're like, well, I don't even know what she's talking about. I mean, she's a sort of a liar. It was just weird. It was unbecoming. And this is somebody now who he's, lost all respect from people who used to like him, mostly black people, but, people don't like him anymore like that.
What did you make of what you just heard?
Well, Jaguar is known to be a conspiracy theorist. I don't really co-sign anything that she says. I've never had her on my show, and I don't have any plans to have her on my show.
You don't believe her?
She's got an album in 20 years, and a lot of this stuff is just stuff she's heard, things she's making up, and so forth. I'm not saying that there aren't serious things that Diddy may have done, but yeah, I can't co-sign anything that Jaguar is saying.
And thankfully, you had a lawyer that came after both of them, so Jaguar and Vlad, who actually, she talked on her behalf, and she's like...
joined now by Ariel Mitchell-Kidd, who's a lawyer for one of Diddy's alleged victims. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. There are so many people coming forward now with allegations about Diddy. What do you think about the scale of this case?
Well, before I get into that, I kind of want to address the prior two panelists. First with Mrs. Jaguar Wright. She said a lot of things that were very jarring in her explanation of what she saw and had firsthand accounts on. My concern for her, she's saying a lot of things that could be considered libelous.
Right.
And I would suggest that she contacts an attorney, if only to vet the information she has or purports to have from other victims. At least they can protect her, and then they can also do their due diligence, the attorneys, to make sure that the information she's receiving is accurate outside of the things that she knows and may have proof of. I was very concerned about some of the things that she had said in her prior segment. I also want to address Mr. Vlad, who I know to be a culture vulture, who takes from the Black community and doesn't give back and puts artists in situations where then they are indicted by the police. And he's very much so what we call police type investigation in the Black community. And for him to repudiate what Mrs. Wright has said, I thought was completely out of line. He can say he doesn't agree, which is fine, but for him to be someone who constantly uses the Black community and uses them as a means for his platform, I thought that was very inconsiderate and unprofessional.
But let's go back to Piers Morgan, because it is funny that somebody who calls himself Uncensored gets to actually get censored and censors what somebody else said. Because obviously when you cut somebody, when you remove something that somebody has said, you are censoring these people. You are censoring her. You are censoring her truth. Is it relevant to call your show Uncensored? A lot of things to say about Piers, because Piers is not this cute person who just have a lot of, American people on his shows, and he's always like, oh, but you're not supposed to say this, and oh, to the left is too crazy, but the right is too crazy. But I'm not saying it because I'm not American, and I'm certainly not voting. So I'm not conservative. I'm not for the conservative, but I'm not voting because I'm not American. Funny how, he always managed to twist things around. And, people keep going there. I hope that Chang stops going there, because I think that he cannot stop trying to embarrass the left. That is number one. And he cannot stop embarrassing his host. This is somebody who lost his job because he bullied Meghan Markle to the point that he lost his job. His colleagues were so pissed about him. They were like, yeah, this is just too much. And we all remember this.
They have had an overwhelming amount of negative press. I watched the program yesterday, and yes, they had some great press around the wedding, but what press is going to trash someone's special day? There was bad press around the engagement, before the engagement, and everything that has followed since has been incredibly damaging, quite clearly to Meghan's mental health and also to Harry. And I hear Piers say that, William has gone through the same thing. But do you know what? Siblings experience tragedy in their life, and one will be absolutely fine and brush it off, and the other will not be able to deal with it so strongly. And that's clearly what has happened with Prince Harry in this situation. He walked behind his mother's coffin at a tender age in front of the globe. That is going to shape a young boy for the rest of his life. So I think that we need to all take a step back. And I understand that you don't like Meghan Markle. You've made it so clear a number of times on this program. a number of times, and I understand that you've got a personal relationship with Meghan Markle, or had one, and she cut you off. She's entitled to cut you off if she wants to. Has she said anything about you since she cut you off? I don't think she has, but yet you continue to trash her.
Okay, I'm done with this.
No.
Sorry, no.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Do you know what? That's pathetic.
You can trash me, baby, not mine.
No. I'm being...
Sorry, can't
this
do
is
this.
absolutely diabolical behaviour. I'm sorry, but Piers spouts off on a regular basis, and we all have to sit there and listen. 6:30 to 7 o'clock yesterday was incredibly hard to watch. Incredibly hard to watch.
And this, by the way, started just because he wanted to date this woman who happened to meet Prince Harry, and decided that she rather actually go out with Prince Harry, who is now her husband, and he got pissed about it. And since that day, he talked bad about Meghan Markle. When they got married, he cannot stop himself from talking bad about Harry, Prince Harry. I know he's no longer Prince or something, but I'm not sure. But it's ridiculous. It is completely ridiculous. This is so stupid. It does not make sense. Nowadays, when you go to his show, he's like the bully of everybody. You have to always agree with him. Do you condemn? Do you condemn? Do you condemn? Do you condemn? Do you condemn this? Do you condemn that? I'll actually try to put in like videos where he says that to everybody. When he's not talking about that.
My opinion?
Yes.
Condemning Hamas or condemning Israel?
Yes.
Completely useless. Completely useless.
Why?
I condemn Hamas, you condemn Israel, interview is over. What happened? Nothing.
Last night, you wanted people to condemn what happened last night in your belief that it was an Israeli airstrike, and you were ferocious in demanding that repeatedly. Will you now take the opportunity to condemn what Hamas did on October the 7th? I only ask you one more time. Do you personally condemn it?
They condemned the killing of civilians from all sides.
Right.
You know what?
Not all sides.
No, from all sides.
Do you condemn what happened on October the 7th?
Yes.
I just want to ask you a question. So last we left it, you did refuse to condemn Hamas murdering Israelis on October 7th, and it seems as if nothing has changed. But I couldn't help but to think, do you condemn 9/11?
That's such a ridiculous
It's a yes
question.
or no.
This
it's
is
yes
an
or
interrogation
no.
of
It's yes
I'm a
or
New
no.
York citizen.
Well, actually, it's a
yes
simple
or no.
question.
Of course. No.
Do you unreservedly condemn? And secondly, do you condemn the people who did it? They're not different.
We all know everyone does that. Democrats, Republicans, Labour, Conservative. You know that's not the same thing as a old man going on stage and screaming at the audience, they're eating your pet.
Yeah.
There's no comparison.
I agree.
There's no comparison. There's
But I
nothing
wouldn't
like
say-
that from
but I-
Harris,
but I don't-
Biden, Starmer, Sunak, anyone.
But I also think it's far worse to say he's the new Hitler.
Did Kamala Harris say he's the new Hitler?
No,
But
a
Trump's...
lot of Democratic politicians have used that language.
What about Trump's
if
language?
what you're saying
Hold
is...
on, what about Trump's language?
Does that make it disqualifying for them as well?
No, hold on. Yes. Okay,
Any Democrat politician that says the new Hitler...
Hold on.
Disqualified.
Hold on.
They're kicked out of
Hold on,
office.
I'm about to answer your question. I agree. Do you believe that a presidential candidate should not call the other person a Hitler?
Yeah.
Okay,
Including
so
that.
Trump has called Kamala Harris a fascist, communist, Marxist. Harris has not called Trump a fascist, as far as I'm aware. I wish she would. But
I think she has,
hasn't.
actually.
I don't think she has, but she hasn't since she became the candidate. So the person who's doing the incendiary rhetoric is Trump. He called Biden the Gestapo. Do you agree with that? Do you think Biden is the Gestapo?
No.
Well, that's what he called Biden. He said it's a Gestapo administration. I didn't hear you condemn Trump for that.
No.
Do you condemn? Do you condemn? Do you condemn? And you're like, come on. You're cutting people off time after time after time. Are you interviewing people, or are you bullying them so that they can give you the answer you want to hear? The thing that I even don't get, why is it that people, the Daily Wire people, the people from TYT, why is it that everybody goes on this show as if they don't even have platform here? They can go to Valuetainment. Why is it that everybody has to run and go onto this show and just get ridiculed by Piers Morgan? That's what I don't understand. Boy, he chewed wider this time. He chewed, and Beyonce and Jayz were like, nah, we got lawyers. They didn't even sue. And he retracted. They didn't even sue. And he retracted. I mean, that must be a good lawyer. It is ridiculous. I don't know, like, I'm not saying that Piers is a bad person or a liar all the time, but I just feel like this guy is here to make his money. He's like another Trump person. And people should be careful, because people don't want to hear the truth anymore. People want to be like, Let me give my little opinion about the Jay-Z Beyonce threatening to, you know, sue. It's just weird. And the black community just went like, because this woman has been saying stuff like that forever. It's not new. You know, that Jay-Z was like, why are we kneeling? It's not new. But for some reason, when it got to that large platform, that huge platform, they threatened to sue not her, but Piers Morgan. And that is a little shady, my opinion. It's a little shady. So I'm not saying that they did it because, I mean, nobody wants to be sued by Beyonce and Jay-Z. That's not our aim. That's not what we want. We too broke for that. But it definitely does look shady. You know, it's weird. So they have cut off that part of that woman saying it. I mean, we all saw it. So, you know, whatever. I saw it the same day I saw it. So we'll see what happens, but you know, maybe it's time for people to not get censored on Uncensored. So before you go, don't forget to go and watch this video, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I will see you in the next one. Take care. Faceless out. Ciao, ciao.